I recently released an article talking about de-influencing. So let's talk about it. So what is de-influencing? So this definition is from CNN. So it's basically de-influencing is when people online kind of just tell you to not buy something, and like often because it's bad for the environment, and it's really just a combination of it's bad for the environment and often you don't need it. And it's really just to combat like the influx of a lot of influencers based on TikTok mainly, who just are trying to sell you something. Often it's tough, you don't need, and like it often is tough they don't really believe in too. There's one TikTok that I saw that really just covered something James Charles promoted a while ago. Let's take a look at that.
I think enough time has passed now where we can comfortably say that palette was fucking idiot.
Makeup, I love showing it. With every product that comes out, there's gonna be influencers promoting it. And they might not even like it. This is a perfect example of why you shouldn't run and buy whatever they're trying to sell you on TikTok or social platforms or anything, because they're getting paid or they're getting something out of it.
That's an example of a de-influencer, and she's just telling you not to buy everything that you see online, because most people who are promoting stuff online are being paid for it, and there's an incentive for them to make something look attractive and often try to convince you that you need something you really don't. And this is like why it's so important, especially on TikTok, because the hashtag TikTok made me buy it, or some variation of that, has over 7 million posts. And often it's products that people actually don't need and are not going to even use that much. And this has become so important, especially with TikTok shops. I feel like there's so many influencers now posting products that you don't really need, clothing that you don't really need, some sort of like kitchen find that you don't really need. It's just everything is so concentrated on TikTok, and you feel like you need to buy everything you see, especially because of the prices. And I think social media is a really good place to like find new products that you might need, but you don't need to buy everything you see. And I'm just going to show you an example of what I think the issue is.
5 things TikTok made me buy, part 12. Stickers to block out those irritating LED lights that keep you up at night.
You can just use tape. There's just so many alternatives to a lot of products for being sold, often using stuff we already have. And that's what the point of a de-influencer is. And I do think that there's a lot of benefit to this, but there has been some criticism of de-influencing just because of what it's kind of morphed into. This article from Fox really just talks about that criticism. It's basically saying that de-influencers are not they're influencers, and it's talking about mainly the type of de-influencer that's trying to sell you an alternative that's often cheaper. And I don't think that's not what de-influencing started out as, but it has kind of turned into that. I think there's valid criticism to that. Like, if someone's trying to sell you an alternative, they're not trying to de-influence you, they're just trying to influence you in another direction. But I think what really is the core of the movement of de-influencing is really just using what you already have, because social media has really encouraged a lot of mass consumption, especially like influencer culture, because we develop these parasocial relationships with these influencers, and we want what they are promoting because we do think that will make us more like them or make us closer to them, or we just because we genuinely like the product. But I do think it's beneficial to maybe use these like parasocial relationships to kind of like help your audience, not trying to like sell them something that they might not necessarily need, or something like the influencer just doesn't believe in themselves. So I do think that de-influencing is a very beneficial thing, especially for like TikTok, and I am excited to see where it goes. What do you guys think?